Thank you for coming and welcome to our February meeting. Today is Monday, February 16th of 2026. Grab my glasses. So I would begin out with approval of the consent agenda items below that include the approval of minutes from our regular board meeting on January 19th of 2026, the closed session on January 19th of 2026, the Board Academy meeting on February 2nd of 2026, the payment of bills, the employee resignations, the employee hires and contracts, the alternative open enrollment applications, and the Tomah High School ESS waivers. Does anybody need anything pulled out from that consent agenda item with all items that are embedded?
No.
I'll move it.
Okay, nobody? Okay, now look for a motion to approve, and Teresa said she
So moved.
approves. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next would be a communication with the public. We actually do not have anybody sign up tonight, so we can move on from that. And we'll move into reports and recognition of staff and students. Ms. Joyce was not able to make it. Does that look like okay? So Ms. Joyce was not able to make it tonight, so we will move on from there as well. And we have I think it's students, staff, board members, and community members who are taking part in Rachel's Challenge activities mentioned.
We sought those community members and others to help out. It's a powerful experience, Rachel's Challenge. That's a grant that Michelle put together, and so I refer over to you, Michelle, that powerful things, and thank you so much for doing that.
We did have the opportunity for almost 400 students to go through the 4 days of Rachel's Challenge programming. And we had board members that also participated, so if you want to say, feel free to do that. We actually had people that I had to call and say, you asked to do 2 or 3 days worth, but we have so many volunteers in the community. Is it okay if you just do 1 day or 2 days? It was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Very positive from the staff. We did 6th graders and 9th graders, and 11th grade school program too. It was just very, very good. And we were participating with the owner's staff and participated.
We were first time.
Yeah, I did it for the first time. The first time I did it this year was fantastic. It was very moving, very powerful. There were several other people. I know Heidi was there, the dad was there, and things. But yeah, it was really cool to see. It was that year they did that several times to us and everything. I think it's very important, very cool. So.
In our middle school and high school, we do have 4 Rachel clubs that are ran mostly by our guidance counselors, and they are continuing to meet with kids and doing things for the student body as well.
It was really cool. I actually I worked at one of the high school games, basketball games as well. And I saw a couple of the kids there, and they were like, "Hey!" So it was pretty cool to see them out and about as well. So thank you for that. So cool. Good. All right. Next, we have a district strategic plan initiatives. Under that, we have student achievements, and we have a presentation of our leadership activities by the LaGrange Elementary School Guiding Coalition.
We're excited to bring Guiding Coalitions to and our community members that are here. So thank you again to LaGrange Guiding Coalition team members. Appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you.
My computer doesn't look like that. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. First, we start by figuring out the tech, then we can talk about the things. Great. Here we are. Thank you for having us here. Some of our members of our Guiding Coalition are with me tonight. Not everyone could make it. Our LaGrange Guiding Coalition has representation from across our building. Tonight, I'd like to introduce you to Lisa Nading and Dale Lynch and Hannah Hazel. Jesse Steffen and Nikki Kriegel weren't able to make it. On our team, we've got 4 classroom teachers, 2 special ed teachers, 1 instructional coach, and me, the building leader. Would you like this adjusted? Been using my out loud voice all day? No, we're good. Okay, wonderful. So that is a little bit about our team. We spent quite a bit of time towards the end of last year trying to get really clear about what it was that we were doing, how we were contributing as a guiding coalition to our building and to our students' learning. We pulled the definition that's in front of you from the book called Building Powerful Guiding Coalitions by Bill Hall. And he defines a guiding coalition as having 3 kind of primary purposes. One is to become PLC experts by learning about the PLC process, forming common vocabulary to the cycle of continuous improvement in which collaborative teacher teams participate. So we've been going through that process through our learning lab or leadership lab at our local CISA and some of our trainings that we've been doing in-house. We've been working on becoming experts on the PLC's processes and benefits for students, teachers, and the school community. And we know that part of our work is to disseminate information about the PLC process to our collaborative teacher teams. So when we meet twice a month, we're really focused on making sure that we're uplifting the PLC process and that we're trying to build that system as we're part of it. We're also really focused on our school improvement plan. This year, one of the things that we've leaned heavily into is that work and how we can drive learning from within our building instead of from outside of it. So you can see that our vision is to become a high-functioning PLC, focused on high levels of learning. That's our 5-year goal. It's where we see ourselves being a little bit, and we're putting together the pieces to make that happen. So thanks to our CISA leaders and some of the other work that we've been doing, our school improvement plan is something that we were really proud of this year. We really settled on clarity for staff and students being the most impactful thing we could do for our Tier 1 instruction this year. We landed there from a few different places. One of them was some of the work that we had done last year as a district. When we worked on our strategy implementation guide, when we had our anchor statement 2, we worked very hard on what our guaranteed viable curriculum were, what everybody was supposed to know, what the learning progressions did and could be used for. But we did a lot of learning, but we weren't really sure what to do with it. So our plan for this year was to take what we had put together last year and put it on the ground, or put it in the hands of teachers and make sure that it was something they could really use. We found that was supported well by Charlotte Danielson and her framework for effective teaching, which is what we use in the state of Wisconsin for supporting teacher excellence and for evaluative purposes when necessary. And then John Hattie is a researcher who brings together all sorts of different studies and pulls together the best of them. And so Charlotte Danielson both pointed to student clarity as one of the most impactful drivers for student learning. Today, even when Jeannie Stiller was with us, she named the Fab 5 instructional strategies, and the top one was student clarity. When kids know what they're supposed to know, why they're supposed to know it, and how they're going to get to the end, what the end looks like. When they know those things, they're more likely to be engaged in the learning, they're more likely to retain the learning, they're more likely to be able to apply the learning. And it gives teachers a sense of which things I need to actually lean heavy into and which are the supporting standards, which are the things that come along and that we teach, but that we don't guarantee. So that's how we're supporting our Tier 1 curriculum, or Tier 1 experience. The way we articulated this was in this goal. This is the goal that supports our district goal 1 about academic achievement. And so we broke that down into a single year goal by saying by the end of the 2025 school year, all students at LaGrange will increase proficiency in math and ELA as indicated on TASD spring benchmark assessments by increasing teacher and student clarity around essential learning targets. Knowing that that was an end of year target, we created a couple different tools to be able to measure the impact that our guiding coalition was having on the teacher and student experience. So the observer data was information that our guiding coalition members collected, so outside of the educator effectiveness process. These folks took turns going into classrooms and looking for certain indicators of clarity around the classroom. They also collected student walkthrough data, so they walked up to kids and said, what are you learning? How do you know you got it? How will you know when you get there? To get a sense of what the student experience is like. And then we did provide a teacher reflection form as well, so that teachers can tell us a little bit about what they were thinking when they were trying to be clear about what they were teaching. At this point, we have that baseline data from earlier this year, and we're going to be watching that as the year goes on. Asking people to do something different with their practice means that we have to show people what we want them to do with their practice. So the first semester of this year, we had to first clarify what clarity was. When we say teacher and student clarity, what did we mean by that? And we used kind of an anchor article that into those 3 big questions that we keep coming back to. What am I supposed to know? Why am I supposed to know it? How do I know that I'm here? We used that information to come back to some backwards planning. If this is the end goal, that's where we need to start. This is what we want to do at the end of the 4 weeks. How can we spread that out over the 4 weeks so that it's sequential and builds to that place of mastery? We returned to student-friendly I can statements, which are not new in education, but they've been posted historically and not really referred to. So we referred back to those and connected that to the idea of success criteria for our teachers so that they can include that information while they were teaching to increase clarity for students. Kids can see what they're supposed to do, they know where they're going. And then we spent some time in our first semester trying to make sure that there was alignment between our student learning objectives, which are required by the state for our educator effectiveness process, trying to make sure that aligned with their building goal and their district goal. Our next steps are in second semester here, so we're in the middle of our mid-year review for our SLOs, our educator effectiveness, so we're trying to make sure that that alignment is really clear. In a week, we'll be looking at providing feedback around the targets, where kids are and where we want them to be, so that the feedback that adults in our building are providing to students feeds into what it is that we want them to learn. That will be learning that happens for both our support staff and for our teaching staff, since we're all part of that process. And then our next round would be to start really engaging with the targets and the learning progressions. So helping folks see how students can really interact with those targets. When we say student engagement, we're not talking about entertainment, we're talking about understanding what it is that you're supposed to be learning and why and how. And eventually we'd love to be able to tie that in the families as well, so that we can communicate more accurately with them what kids know and what is next for them and how far they are from the target. So this is the plan that our guiding coalition has put together for our staff learning. I did want to let them talk too. So we've got a couple different things that people would like to share, not specifically about our SIP, but more broadly about the impact of the professional learning community on our building. So I'd like to have the panels kind of start in person. We'll read from Sherry and Nikki. Lisa, I did not get her name on there, but she has a couple comments to share as well before Dia wraps this up. Please.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. My name is Hannah Hazel, and I've been teaching at LaGrange for 10 years. From my perspective as teacher and member of our guiding coalition, the PLC process has had a powerful impact on student learning by keeping our focus on what matters most, ensuring every student masters the essential standards. As teams, we work together to identify and prioritize the most critical skills and concepts students must master. We use common formative assessments and shared data to monitor progress in real time, which allows us to quickly identify students who need additional support or enrichment. This collaborative focus has brought greater clarity, consistency, and purpose to our instruction, helping us align our work to our district mission, high-quality student learning, every child, every day. One of the greatest strengths of our PLC work is our commitment to reteaching and intervention. Instead of moving on when some students struggle, we began to build systems to provide targeted reteaching opportunities and additional practice until students demonstrate mastery of the essential standards. This ensures that the learning gaps are addressed immediately rather than carried forward. Through the system of ongoing support, collaboration, and shared responsibility, we are creating a culture where all students are expected to succeed, given the supports to do so, and where high-quality learning truly happens for every child, every day.
Sherry is not able to join us tonight, but she did ask me to share these words. She said, by having designated PLC time, I have had the opportunity to become much more aware of the grade level essential standards and their proficiency skills. This has made it possible for me to make accommodations for my special education students to scaffold their learning to aid them in reaching grade level proficiency at the same level as general education students. This has tremendously improved the practice of team teaching by making accommodations available to all students. Nicole Krivo's words were these. The PLC process for me as an educator of 4K students has been beneficial by optimizing the time spent together. We assign goals, work through prepared agendas, and use a consensus protocol for making decisions. This structured system helps us to focus on our students as it creates an environment in which we work together to improve student outcomes. Our collaborative work has helped us to be clear on what we are teaching and form common goals for our students based on the data we bring to our meetings.
Hi, I'm Lisa Nading. I'm one of the instructional coaches here in our district. And I've been kind of through a few different experiences already. It's just been my third year here. But we've shifted a little bit in how we approach coaching. And some of that shift has come from our work with ILC, which is Inclusive Learning Communities. And part of the work that we do there is making sure that we have systems in place to ensure that all students learn at high levels. And one of the shifts that we were asked to make was to place a coach at each of the different GCs. So each guiding coalition now has a designated coach to help support that work. So I'm honored to work with LaGrange specifically. I continue to do other coaching things in the district, but I've been tasked with working very closely with the GC. And I'm honored to do that work. Melissa and I work very closely so that we can bring things back from the district into LaGrange so that we can continue our district's mission and vision and our goals in a systematic way. Some of the things that I've struggled with since moving here is seeing a lack of systems, and I think that this is a move in the right direction to make sure that all the GCs are aligned across our district so that we can have that very similar goal and focus and making sure that all students learn.
Good evening. My name is Deandra Lynch, and I have been teaching at LaGrange Elementary School for 11 years. During that time, I have seen strong collaboration among staff. We have always worked well together and shared ideas openly. But as the saying goes, good is the enemy of great. That mindset has shaped our growth through the PLC process. The PLC process has brought meaningful change. And change is not always easy. It requires reflection, vulnerability, and a willingness to adjust practices we have used for years. But change is good because comfort and good enough can be the biggest roadblocks to reaching our true potential. In the past, collaboration often meant sharing lessons or activities. Now our conversations go deeper. We identify essential learning standards and focus on what students must learn and how we will know they have learned it. In addition, our guiding coalition is working alongside collaborative teams to intentionally increase clarity for teachers and students, along with student engagement in the learning process. We are exploring ways to help students better understand the essential standards and learning targets so they can take greater ownership of their learning in class. Our approach to assessment has also shifted. Instead of relying primarily on end-of-unit assessments, we now create common formative assessments throughout the unit. This allows us to monitor progress in real time, respond quickly, and provide support before gaps widen. The greatest shift has been shared responsibility. We no longer work as individual classrooms side by side. We work as a team, collectively accountable for ensuring every student masters essential standards. After 11 years at LaGrange Elementary, I can confidently say the PLC process has moved us beyond being good. It has strengthened our collaboration, sharpened our focus, and improved how we support student learning. Thank you for your continued support.
That's what we prepared to share with you this evening, but we are glad to answer any questions that are running through your minds right now.
Sounds good. It's a good question.
Yeah, I do have a question for you. Can you go back to your slide on the goal? Right there.
That one.
Yep, that one. Can you explain to me, because I'm used to having percentage, like 80% on the target or what? I mean, you have benchmarks, you have some defining factors in there, but how are you going to know that if you've reached your benchmark or there's something missing that I'm looking for?
It doesn't have the numbers in there.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the reason that it looks like that was because we went back and forth on whether or not we should have one benchmark that we were looking at or keep it broad so that we're seeing across all of the different benchmark tests that we're using. So instead of saying this on iReady, this on WASB, this on our local assessments or our CFAs, we said general increase. So the goal is 100% proficiency.
Okay, so we know that traditionally, I'm just going to go broad across the country. 100% is probably not going to be there 100% of the time. You have to be perfect, and I don't know any humans that are. So I want to know, is it about 80% on each one of those benchmarks, and are you measuring to see if you're getting to about 80% or 90%? I know 100 is unrealistic, so we'll just go with the slight lower bit, but higher standard. So how are we going to know number-wise for the people who need those numbers to see where our students are going?
From a sharing out standpoint, I would need to break them down by each assessment.
Okay.
We did just over the past meeting and a half, we did sit down with our mid-year mean swab data and looked at how many kids were hitting the 40th percentile of being a leader and how many were not. So we kind of dug down to just that data. We would say about looking at our big picture. And it wasn't 80%.
Well, yeah, but this is a general goal.
It is a general.
And so my question to you is, why isn't it in that general goal? So that you at least, okay, here we are, we're at what, 40%, 45%? How are we going to get to 80 on each one of these in the general goal? That from a board standpoint,
We'd love to see that number. Is that something that I'm able to email, if I were to put it to a table and able to share out the board?
I think it's a comment from the board.
Yeah, I just wanted-
We'll continue to work with the board. Presentations.
I think going forward,
going
it's
forward.
measurable,
Yeah.
and then we can see how we're doing. But I just say that all the T's that her team are teaching are together, timing,
Right.
targets. Those are the things I think that what we're missing was the target. It has kept moving. And now you're focusing in, and everyone is. I heard that collaboration. I heard, well, this is different. Folks, you've been there 10 years. You PLC, and what was PLC before you knew what PLC really was. So it's moving in the right direction. I appreciate it. But I think too, maybe some data points that we can progress.
So that we
Good,
can
thank
see
you.
those targets as from looking, because we're looking from the outside in. You guys are in the mix of it and in the hard work that has to be done. And it's tough, and I get it. But I want to see so that you can also eventually see where you started from, and this is where we went.
Because that's what's gonna show us our efficacy, right?
Yeah.
And right now, I think we focus so much on adult practices, and we haven't looked at how does that come down to kids, and how long should we leave ourselves for it to come down to kids? And when are we moving adult practice? It should be impacting kids, but we know there's gonna be a little bit of a gap there. So I think that's the spot that we got ourselves kind of caught in when we looked at this, but I think you're absolutely right, it should have numbers. I appreciate the feedback.
Thank you.
May I?
Please.
Yes.
So I agree that there should be measurable data here, but I'm going to push back on the 80%. I'm going to say 100% because our mission is high quality student learning of every child,
Right.
every day. So 100% of kids.
Okay.
We cannot do PLC and say 80%. It's 100%.
I will agree with you, but I was just trying to be realistic for this step, then next year a little higher, then next year a little higher.
And those are our short-term goals.
Yeah.
Long-term, we're setting the bar absolutely 100%.
Okay.
Awesome.
This is PLC and that's where we need to.
Fantastic.
That's
Good
perfect.
to hear. Good. Thank you all for coming in.
Thank
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on, we're going to do a little report from the board members who attended our WASB Annual Convention, and that was in Milwaukee on January 21st through the 23rd. Okay, yeah, so that was, we refer to as the State School Board Convention. Dr. Hanson, Michelle, Sue, Spencer, myself, and Heidi were all able to go. Angie, Ms. Luger was able to make it as well. Some people went the whole time, some of us only made it for a few days, but yeah, it was all really good. For me, my standpoint, I thought collaboration was really good there. I learned pretty quickly walking around. People had heard that we're gonna get a new super, so that's good, the word is already getting out. So it's good to know that, we were being talked about in a good way in that regards. I went to a WIA one that was really interesting. We're gonna consider some data here coming up pretty soon. Facilities. I believe you got that data right for the WIA, those contracts and stuff. Yeah, so that'll all be coming, so there's some interesting stuff from the WIA and that'll be some big stuff, where we'll be able to capture, some community funds down the road, we need other things, I think, with CTE and stuff like that as well, so. And some other good leadership ones and stuff, so I had a really good time. Heidi was your first one,
Yeah, I guess like my biggest takeaway was the delegate assembly. I asked you guys if you wanted to change the bylaws. Don't worry, we didn't change the bylaws or tiered services or anything like that for WASB. So we were still a whole coalition going into governance. What was presented that really surprised me was there was an emergency resolution that was actually passed, and it was a pushback on the state legislature as well as EPI and all that kind of stuff of making sure that when we're promised in the state budget that we're going to get a certain percentage, that we expect as school districts to get that percentage, especially when it's quoted in the news and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that was my fun takeaway.
A lot of the classes were on upcoming referendums and how different schools have handled that, and community engagement with the school district. So there were lots of tips to learn from the speakers there, and a lot of just general information given from people you're sitting around asking questions about where you're from or how you guys dealt with this. So a lot of interesting information to capture the community and get it much more supportive of the school and the school district. It's good.
For me, because I think we're moving in that direction, CTE, there were a lot of opportunities in listening how some school districts engage the community to support the industry and what was going on. And I think there's a nice road there to, number one, engage the community, get some support, and understand and recognize that we need all of the trades. I mean, society will not make it if we don't have them. So again, that's my little role out there, and I was really focused on that. So, but it was good.
admin, 3 that went, anything, otherwise, I'm assuming you did well?
I saw most of you in the ones I went to.
Yeah. All good? Cool, thanks for coming, awesome. No, it was very good, it was well worth going to, so, good. All right, next we'll have, the acceptance of gift, money and or materials.
From Millhaven Foods, a donation to the FFA in the amount of $250 for their pancake supper. Peace Lutheran Church, a donation to the high school band in the amount of $295. From Links Networks, a donation for books to the Camp Douglas Elementary School, $300 donation. From the Oakdale Area Snowmobile Association, a donation for books to the Camp Douglas Elementary School, $300 donation. From Millhaven Foods, a donation for books to Camp Douglas Elementary, a $500 donation. From USUMCO, donating steel plates to Matt Olson's welding class at the high school, a $505 donation. From the Warren's Mall gas donation to Warren's Elementary, a $904 donation. And from the Tomah Sports Booster donation to gymnastics for the tumble track, $5,229. The aggregate amount this month, $8,283. And as you can see, as always, this walks through every aspect of our students. So gratefully accepted.
Cool. Anybody got any particular questions or anything, or?
I just want to say thank you to the public for the continued support of our students.
I make a motion that we accept all of the gifts that we received.
Second.
A motion by Sue and a second by Teresa to accept those as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next under future focus, we'll have our annual presentation from the Tomah Area Montessori School, our TAMS building.
Good evening. I feel like I've been here quite a bit this year. Every time, just a little bit something new. So I'm here on behalf of the governance board tonight to share some things about our Montessori school. We've tried to get people into the Montessori school to see what's going on there, and we all have work to do during the day. So tonight I'm bringing a few little snippets to you. Our governance board chair is Kelly Joyce. Our vice chair is Pam Bubka. I'm acting secretary at this time. Our treasurer is Amy Betcher, and Shireen Ainsworth and Becky Ballman are also members. Currently, our children's house, which is 4K and 5K, we have 20 students. Mrs. Ames is our teacher, and Shay Livengood is our assistant this year. She's new to our school, and things are going well. 4K is all day, 4 days a week, and on that 5th day, kindergarten is able to be by themselves for that day. But Mrs. Ames has taken this under her, I don't know what I want to say about that. She's amazing at what she does. It's like it's second nature to her. All right, so some of the basic Montessori practices and principles I'm going to share with you through this, but mixed age classrooms, respect of things around them, care of self, others, and the environment, uninterrupted work periods, hands-on learning, responsibility, experimental learning, freedom with limits, education of the whole child, individualized curriculum, natural consequences, the prepared environment, peace education, and free choices within them. So these first short pictures and short clips are from the children's house, our 4K and 5K. Every single morning, the kids come in and have jobs to do. And so here they are folding the napkins that they use for the day. Some of these clips are so short, and I wish I could share more and more with you, but this is just a quick glimpse. This was also the kickoff of our science day, so they were dressed like scientists and had on safety glasses. So normally we don't need safety glasses, fold napkins. It was a cool day.
What did it say?
So they're just in, they just have gotten in, and they're busy, busy, busy. Getting the snack ready.
Hold on. Okay, and how many grades can we have? Let's do 5. Remember how to do a 5? Yeah. Middle line down, give them a belly and a 5. You're up. Oh, okay, let's try. 5 dots over there, and then we do it. Wow. Okay, good job.
So, some of the responsibility, I have a 5K student here that's getting snack ready, and she's getting the milk ready for everyone in Children's House. She opens these milk cartons like a pro. Wow. She gets the milk ready this way so that when everybody's ready for their snack, they come over, they choose which one they want, and they pour their own cup full of milk. They're responsible for getting their own snack and then cleaning up after themselves. Like I said, some of them are really short. Every area in the room is used. This is part of their uninterrupted work block. Hands-on learning, which to some of us looks like play. Peace education. In Children's House, if they have an argument, they have something that's not going quite right, they grab the peace rose and they have a conversation about what's going on and try to work it out. So they just happen to have something going on this day. And very quickly they solved it. All right, in E1 or elementary 1, Mrs. Jareb is our teacher. We have 8 first graders, 9 second graders, and 6 third graders. Mrs. Coleman is the assistant in there, and the assistant is, I think anywhere else in the district we call them a teacher's aide or an instructional aide. And the assistants at TAMS are an integral part of what happens there. So the teachers are teaching lessons, and in that time, the assistants are walking around and helping everybody else to make sure the rest of the classroom is going smoothly. Multi-age classroom and also hands-on here. So this is in E1. They have little work mats where they're doing their work for this class period. Here they're doing, this little girl is working on nouns and verbs, I believe. In the background, Mrs. Jareb is doing a lesson. During that time, students and adults know that you should not interrupt the teacher during that time. If you have a question, you go to the assistant or you wait. I will give you a glance of what's in the room. This is called Golden Bead, and this is a math work, and what this does is it helps students learn different place value with hands-on tools. In this situation, we have a little boy that is being helped by an older student. She's giving him some choices on how he can make these numbers. Now, he might ask if I'm taking him. This hands-on builds such a strong foundation in math for these students, and you see as they progress through the math standards that this is a great foundation for them. Even their language learning is hands-on. So on the left, she's matching 2 parts to a compound word. And then on the right, she's taking those puzzles that she put together and now she's writing out those compound words. All right, more math. This is the stick tool, I believe is what they called it. Using these sticks to build two-dimensional shapes and then being able to label them and learn about the different prefixes that go along with the shapes, octagon, pentagon. But first they have to build it. This was his end product. He had all of his shapes put together. Inside you'll see a small, like maybe a groundhog with a shape, and that's the shape then that he had to put together. And as they get this all finished, the teacher or the assistant will come around and check to see if they've done it correctly, make any, give them any questions they may have about it, and then they move on to the next thing. Believe it or not, in E1, they had an issue and had to go to the peace corner there as well and solve a problem. In this area, they did not have a peace rose, and I think they have a peace chicken or turkey or something. I'm not even sure what it is. They get to hold it and they talk, they pass it, then that person gets to talk. By the end, everything was so much better. I was sitting where they are. I was sitting in the chair next to them doing some of the filming, and the girls are like, "Sculpit, we need to use the peace corner." All right, and finally E2, Miss Jamie Harlos is the teacher. Jasmine Lincoln is one of our bus drivers, and she's also working in E2. We have 6 4th graders, 5 5th graders, and 6 6th graders. Now in elementary 2, they move from using all of the hands-on tools to more abstract and more of the math type things that we are familiar with, the algorithms. And they also have time to work on things that are of interest to them. So I have just a quick snip of a couple of them. We'll see if we can hear her. If not, I'll turn it up. Yep, I'll turn it up. I'm so sorry. These are the last 2 slides. Okay.
Push the left arrow right here. That one.
Oh, that would be
French voices, but that.
well, the last slide that I have. Is our school report card. And at TAMS this year, we scored at the exceeds expectations. Let's see if I can make this work. We'll do it. She's telling about a project that she was interested in, so she had time during the day to work on that. Got another little friend here who is very excited about storm chasing. But you really can't hear him on this one either. Some of you might recognize him. He goes on to explain that he used to be afraid of storms, and given some time to research, he found that storms really don't have to be scary if you understand a little bit more about them. At TAMS, it's a very small building. We utilize all of the space. This is a E2 group of students doing a book study out in the hallway. And anytime you come in, you may find students in the hall, you might find them in the kitchen, you might find them in the back room, but you use all the space and they're doing wonderful things. I was doing so well and now I'm just falling apart. All right, so we did again score exceeds expectations on the school report card. As we continue to give our students that solid foundation, we're seeing that in the older grades, when they're starting to test the forward exam, things look good. So ELA, our percentage at proficient or advanced were 79.6% compared to the state average of 64.7% this year. And then as far as math, we were right in the area, the same range as the state. So 65.4% proficient or advanced, and compared to the state at 68.6%. And that is the last slide. So thank you, and you are always welcome to come and visit at TAMS, but this year I brought you a little glimpse. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Right. Move on down to finance and operation, where we plan and use resources to best support the district mission, vision, and goals. And under that, we have a report on the January 2nd Friday student count.
I have two documents I'm going to share with you. The first one is sort of like connected here. So this is also embedded for you to also see. This is a comparison between September. This is a comparison between September student count and January student count. You can see that overall our district can go down 28 students, and once the final report of the I did it.
I think the microphone that's there.
I'll talk really loud. You'll see that our district went down 28 students from September. And I think when you see the state data that comes in, this is the trend in the state of Wisconsin, really in the Midwest. So this is actually, these numbers here are our students that are Tomah area school district residents that either attend our schools or are school choice to another school district. So we do receive funds for students that are school choice out, but then the money doesn't stay in Tomah, it goes to those other districts. And then the other form that's embedded is just our overall building count. And you'll notice that these two numbers don't match, because this means actually the kids that are in our seats. So this would include our students that are from other school districts that attend our schools, along with Tomah area school district residents, students that are in all of our schools. I'm gonna look at this as a positive. We were randomly selected for a membership audit this year, which randomly, everyone gets selected every 3 to 4 years. We had one 3 years ago, so I knew it would either be this year or next year. So what that means is the auditors that came in and did our financials will also come in and audit our student count. The process that we use, the forms that we have, they will randomly select students and check their attendance from September and in January, making sure that we reported the correct numbers. And like I said, everybody gets audited every 3 to 4 years. When that gets done, I'll share those results with you also, but they're not due to the state. I think the auditor has until May-ish to get those in. Any questions I could answer about any of that?
I had one, I missed it in the last meeting. The preschool special ed.
Yep.
The prerequisite requirements, how do we make that determination? Is that when they come in to test out, so something on the paper, what was that?
Yeah, our child 9 days probably, yeah. So if students are preschool special ed, those are 3-year-olds. And those are 3-year-olds in our community that qualify for special ed services. So they either attend our early childhood program that's at Oakdale, we have 2 classrooms there, or they may be just involved in our speech preschool group that meets once or twice a week.
So it could be, there could be physical or learning disabilities
Yes.
either.
Yep. And those numbers do usually go up throughout the year because as students turn 3, then they can be involved in the programs.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Good. Well, thank you for all that. Okay, we have no unfinished business, so we'll move into the new business, and we'll start with consideration and possible approval to revise our pupil services duties and responsibilities into 2 positions.
So, Mrs. Pluger and I are just gonna share with you a normal procedure that happens when you have employees that are in positions for 20+ years, like Dr. Stefanik has been, and he, right to the top. And he's been our pupil services, I think, for 20 years, and his position really has evolved over the course of those 20 years. So we want to share with you his current responsibilities and duties, and then also ask for a position to help with some of that. So the first 2 slides are really just what Dr. Stefanik currently does. He obviously oversees all of our special ed in the district, which includes 658 IEPs. Those would be that preschool age 3 up to age 21. That is 22% of our total student population. A state average in a district, you'll see about 13.4% of your students with special needs, and the national average is about 15%. So in Tomah, we do have more than the state and national average of students with special needs. And a lot of that can be contributed, a little bit of the reading I did, it's really, you will see, tend to see more students with IEPs in areas of poverty. And we do know that we have some of our buildings that are 50, 60, 70% free and reduced lunch forms. Along with those responsibilities are that 3 and 4-year-old early childhood. There's 34 special ed teachers, 95 certified staff members. He also coordinates all the homeless student needs that we have in our district. He oversees in pupil services. We have 4 school psychologists, 2 school nurses, 1 school social worker, a physical therapist, occupational therapist, 2 OT, PT or occupational therapist assistants, 10 speech therapists. That's 3 in our buildings, and then 7 of them are through Tiny Eye, our virtual speech that we need to pay for because we don't have enough speech therapists, much like most of the districts in the state of Wisconsin. And right now we have 7 virtual speech therapists, but those fluctuate based on student needs and based on their schedule also. We also have 6 speech assistants that assist with that virtual speech. They can't give direct instruction or direct therapy to our students, but they can assist with the online and there's 2 clerks and 10 school counselors across all of our schools. He also oversees our multilingual learner program, or our EL program. That program has also grown over the years. I know when I started in Tomah 25 years ago, we didn't have a program because we didn't have enough students. And now we have enough students where we have to have a program. And that program includes a teacher, coordinator, and a support staff member. He also oversees most of our Title IX investigations. This is an area that he reports has really grown since he started here in Tomah. He has, in recent years, he has approximately 28 Title IX investigations, and then again, Title IX is anything to do with sexual harassment. And this could involve students, staff, parents, community members, anyone really connected to schools. And out of those 28, he said about 20 of them will go to a full investigation. So there are certain criteria that he reads and determines if it goes on. The other 8 are screened out because they're truly not sexual harassment. And then about 20 of them go to full investigation, and they take about 20 hours each. They're very intense. He also oversees our alternative ed and at-risk programs for our district. Currently, we have 1 program at the middle school, 1 classroom at the middle school of alt ed, 2 different programs at the high school, and then here at Robert Cooper, along with overseeing Walkie Street Academy, Excel, and Decisions as part of the alternative ed program. He also is the principal of those students and staff that are part of that program, these programs. And then we have 504 plans in our district, and there's 91 of those that the Director of Pupil Services also oversees.
So this next portion, I do not want to take you down a rabbit hole. I just want to start by saying that I do not want to take you down a rabbit hole. And we will be doing a full presentation on what federal identifications are and what we're doing. So the reason that I'm sharing with you is that this does tie to that pupil service position. And so obviously the 2 pages of things that one person is tasked with doing is a lot. And so on top of that, we have what is called a JFN identification. It's a joint federal notification. And so it comes to us from the Department of Instruction. And on the left-hand side, we have a federal identification under IDEA, which is the Individual with Disabilities Education Act. So it specifically relates to students regarding special education compliance and student outcomes. And so this is our 4th year to be in this identification as needs assistance. And so with that needs assistance, there has to be there's a comprehensive needs assessment that we have done. There is root cause analysis, and then an extensive plan that goes into place. Really, our goal is to make sure that we're meeting the needs of all students and that we're hitting the mark. And right now, each year the joint notification announcements come out, and each year we continue to work really, really hard to get off of that list. Then on the other side, the alternative education, there's another identification which comes from ESSA, which is around it's impacting our Title I funded schools, which Robert Cooper is. And so that one is specifically related to this particular alt ed building and the fact that our graduation rates are below where DPI would like to see them fall. And so one of the things that we want to make sure you understand about the JFN monitoring process is that it's about continuous improvement, and it's about ensuring that all students receive the supports and the things that they need. But with these identifications comes a lot of work, a lot of hard work, a lot of meetings, a lot of we meet with DPI. They ask us, like, what is your data? We show them the different strategies and things that we're doing. So one of the strategies is ILC, which we will be presenting on in the coming months, and understanding that ILC grant, partially why we were awarded it was because of our identification. But in order to help make sure that students get what they need, it's really, really important that this person has the capacity to be able to
do all of that work and make sure that our systems are functioning healthy so that kids can get what they need when they need it, and that we can meet the expectations that we're not on this list. And so we just wanted you to see that those 2 pages of things that one person is tasked with is a lot, and because of that, it's really hard to make sure that we're hitting the mark at all times, and we want to make sure that we are setting up systems so that our kids can grow and benefit and get what they need when they need it.
And Mr. Durham was reminding me of 2 things I didn't have on the list. He does coordinate all of our outside counselors that come in. We have about 300 students that receive outside counseling in our school buildings. And he oversees that while the individual schools are coordinating at times. And then we also do have students that attend Pupil, Northwest, and Toledo. And then he is the liaison between our district. So what we're proposing as we head into hiring a new director of pupil services, which we do have postings up right now, and we know that the education pool across, whether it is a support staff or a teacher, an admin, whoever, the pool is not what it was even 20 years ago. And more than likely, we're going to get a brand new person that doesn't have the 20 years of experience that Dr. Bonnie has. So our proposal is that if we take really the director of pupil services position that requires a director of pupil service license and make that one position. And that position will then oversee all of the special ed, IEPs, early childhood, the 504 plans, all the pupil services that go with all of those IEPs, and then also to include a multilingual learner or English learner program would fall under that position if it makes sense to be able to work that in there. The new additional position would then pick up the Title IX investigations. Your first question may be, well, how can a random person do that? There is required trainings for people to view and actually to go to in order to do those correctly. The new position would also look and oversee our alt ed and at-risk at the middle school, the high school, and then here at Robert Cooper. So then that person would be the principal up here. So our pupil services director is not an additional principal. And with the, getting to know what we do, because we do offer good things for our kids that just don't work like traditional school, but there's always ways for us to look at improve and expand them. So after a period of time with a new person coming in and seeing what we're currently doing, I would anticipate coming to board eventually, and there will be some recommendations for expanding that program. Because we know our at-risk and alternative ed kids don't just magically appear when they're in 5th grade or when they're in 6th grade. They're struggling at elementary level sometimes too. The homeless coordination would go to this position. There is transportation works wonderfully with the coordination of getting them to school. Food service, does the food part of it. Jessiana Venter Ethelberg, our social worker, does a lot for these families, but in this position would oversee this. We would also propose that this position oversees the 4K through 12 summer school. That would include the 4K through 8th grade summer pack, which is about 700 to 800 students currently right now. And also look to see if we can increase our offerings at the high school level. And again, this would be in coordination with people that have the knowledge of doing these things. And then the big reason that we put this position on here was really the Act 20 requirements that are going down that Angie can talk more about.
So specifically, Act 20 doesn't fall in this person's wheelhouse. It's more about there is a portion of the Act 20 requirements that require us by 2027 to have a comprehensive and intensive summer school program for students that have not gotten off those reading plans. And so this is something that will be brand new to us, and learning how do we build that system, because it doesn't just stop in 3rd grade, which Act 20
That's the goal, is that we get everybody proficient by third grade. But if a student is not, and they continue on in fourth grade, fifth grade, all the way through high school, we need to offer that programming through summer school to help enhance those reading, to close the gaps. So this person isn't necessarily overseeing all of Act 20. That when we had originally presented, someone had asked me, are they going to oversee it? They're going to oversee the summer school portion of it, so they would work in conjunction with me in order to make sure that we have a strong summer program.
And then the amount of data that our current school board likes to see and wants and should be seeing is a new concept for school boards, really, I think, across, I'm not going to say the name, but across Wisconsin. And in order to give you what you want, we're looking at part of this position being like the overseer of the multi-level systems and supports, that we have 10 school counselors right now that Dr. Stefanik is overseeing. While he's doing all of that, he's not able to dedicate time to them and what they're doing in their buildings day to day with our students that have social and emotional needs. And also our SEL coordinator that we received a grant to fund that position, and right now that grant is going to be funded until the legislature changes that after it was awarded. And when we hired that person last year, 3 of us in good faith could not say, Dr. Stefanik, even though this position really is pupil services, how our district does it, we couldn't do that. So we've been trying to learn about an SEL coordinator's role within a district, and floundering through that sometimes, because it's not really in any of our jobs either. But we tried to do the best we could this year and last year. But having a person responsible for that really could get all of those adults that we already have in our district into a coordinated effort to meet some of the more academic behavior, social and emotional. And so this person would, be using the data that you're asking for, but this person would, for example, oversee the district PBIS instead of an elementary principal that's running a building trying to oversee K-12 PBIS for the entire district. That's it. Questions that you may have, or we presented to the personnel committee and also the finance committee, so they may have further questions also.
I do have just another clarification question I forgot to ask the other day. Are the 91504 plans, kids that are on, is that part of the 22% of special education?
No.
Or that's separate, that's on top of the 658 IEPs? Okay.
I also
So-
think it's important to note that the 22% students that go to Robert Cooper don't necessarily, it's not hand in hand. It's not
Right.
students that come here have IEPs, and so it is like 2 separate worlds. So it's just really important to note that it's not one and the same, if that makes sense. That we're really trying to sustain 2 different types of needs that students have.
Do you need to, what do you need from us?
Wait, hold on. Don't make a motion yet.
Okay.
So my biggest concern when we looked at this is really there needs to be 2 positions because there is a lot.
Right.
And I fear that if we don't do this and the IEPs get put on the back burner, not saying that that's happening, but hypothetically, it's gonna cost us way more than if we hire someone to help out with that. That's a lot of IEPs. It's kind of similar to writing a treatment plan, and those can take 20 to 30 hours. So it's to oversee all of that is a lot. My only concern as I've been thinking about this is I don't want to see the Wisconsin MLSS get put on the back burner. I really want that to be a big component of what this person does. And I can see it getting put behind the summer school or the Title IX investigations is what I'm worried about. That's my concern, but in my view, as I think about it, just looking at IEPs, it is a legal thing and the district could get seriously fined if that is not being followed, and that is gonna cost us way more than getting another position.
So what were you saying, the Wisconsin? What?
But MLSS,
Last one.
Oh, okay.
She just wants to make sure that.
MLSS.
I know.
She doesn't think that's the primary thing.
when I was looking at it, I was thinking about like the
Right.
how they're designated into the two positions. And I was thinking that goes very similar with the IEPs. But I think that would be a lot for one person to do. So
So are you suggesting 3 positions, one for the Wisconsin MLS?
I don't think we can afford 3 positions, but I just want to make sure that that is a forefront factor of that position. I mean, obviously Title IX is a law.
Right.
For K-12 with the mandated new summer school requirements. I just want to make sure that that behavioral, social, and emotional component of that position is really highlighted.
I think as we discussed, if we go that way or two, then it will be within the purview of both of those positions to, attack where it needs to be attacked. So it will certainly be better with 2 people on it. And that, I think that's just kind of a framework. That doesn't necessarily mean that's where it would fall. But I think between the 2, they can make that determination.
Some flexibility and some of the job descriptions could be switched depending on the strength of the person that applied, and maybe swing some of those around a little bit depending on who the applicant is and what their previous experience would be. I think we're open to that, to kind of move it around a little bit if we need to.
And I will say that was one question I had was, I'm not familiar with like what we have to have. We're a big enough school district, correct me if I'm wrong, but this was my question and this is how it's going to be. We're a big enough school district that we have to have a director of pupil services. They have to have that license.
Yes.
So this
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
The second position doesn't have to have that specific license.
It can be just
So,
a general
I think the
administrator.
director of pupil services has to be the one that oversees like the
Right.
IEPs and stuff. And there's certain components of that position that have to stay with that person.
Right.
But I think other than that,
So you see the starting goals. I'm sort of.
Well, the director of people services is posted, but it's
Yeah.
big and
Right,
broad.
so you will be able to go in, so if we approve the 2, you'll go in, clean that up or whatever, or you brought it up, I guess you just, right?
Well, in the ideal world, there'll be 2 stellar candidates in that.
For the one, okay.
So the only position open is pupil services. So tonight we're waiting for your green light on X number of positions. I'm hearing this or perhaps another, but administration highly recommends an additional position. This is far, to me, it's a utility player. The human resource director is just so siloed. This is exactly what the board is looking at. But absolutely continue the conversation on how the enrollment can be. I would just like to say thank you to Angie and Michelle for putting this together. This is long overdue. I think it's an important piece, as Katie mentioned, the multi-level systems of supports is in of itself a board directive. And it shows a very strong faith in what you want to accomplish here in the district over time.
It's obviously the right timing.
I got a couple of things I want to bring up. First off, and I brought this up at the meeting, was I think as a board, we should have been told about this federal identifications that we've been dealing with for years, and we didn't know anything. We should have been able to jump in and say 658 IEPs for one person. What are we thinking?
Thank you.
I don't know how we got here, but we can't be that way. We've got to have the full disclosure, no surprises for the board. So that we're to a point where we got to fill this position now, and our hands are somewhat tied. That we don't have much choice, but I don't think we should be sitting here today. Maybe could have taken a couple months and looked at this and said, what actually should we do? I mean, what does he actually do with 658 IEPs? But, I mean, he can't attend every meeting.
He oversees all.
Yeah, he oversees all that, and I don't want to give anybody the impression that anybody on, any entity on this page is not working their butts off and doing the best they can.
I understand, but
when
this is a serious, some identifications that
They are.
we should have been able to help work through.
Before trying.
Yes.
We put in systems already for the Tier 1 instruction, all the things that we put together, systems for professional learning community, 2 years ago, the ILC, absolutely. So those are Tier 1 pieces to improve all of it. So we've added additional layers into the multi-level systems to support us in the last year or so. So
I just think that we should have been able to look at this as a board and try to iron some of this out earlier.
Should have been let know that we had those flags. We could have broke this position apart a couple years ago.
I asked how many IEPs were at the Board Academy meeting that we just had. And like now to be surprised with this number, like this is, yeah,
no,
I
it's
agree
no
with
surprise.
Cory.
We've acknowledged we had 20+%. That's been delivered to the board each and every year.
But 20% is not, saying the 20%, not the actual figure, there's not.
20% of our population, so
Right.
3,000. So now is an appropriate time. The staffing positions are there to cover those 658 IEPs. Now we've got additional pieces where you saw the Title IX piece really increase over the years. And so I think anytime you bring something into that advantageous.
Do we not have somebody that oversees the 4K through 12 summer school? Is there a
We have.
assistant or a principal?
We have
or-
a principal and an assistant that do the two of them.
So would they then lose that or?
Yeah.
Or,
Well, we say yes, but I can give you my example of being part of Summer Pack. I've been not assigned Summer Pack for 6 years, and I have not been involved in it. So it's a huge beast, and even though it's only in the summer, it's like opening a school. So I would anticipate that Mrs. Pulpit and Mr. Epps still are involved in helping that, to be the overseeing and coordination of really everything after they open.
Which I think that, so they would oversee the entire program with the new requirement, correct? Or they would just be overseeing the requirement?
The whole program.
Whole thing.
Because right now, we have renewal reading, but it's not a vetted, everybody's doing this can program that, teachers are, it is the teachers are looking at data, spring and benchmark data, and they're looking at the kids that they have in those classes, but it's not at the level where it needs to be for the 20 requirements or something.
I will make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to approve the pupil services duties and responsibilities into 2 positions.
A motion by Teresa, basically as presented, that she's both. We have a second? Second by Katie. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, opposed. Mr. Murray. Okay, all right, thank you, Order. Okay, all right, moving into policy work. Next, we have the second reading and consideration for approval of policy 8420, school safety and reporting of crime statistics, policy 8500, competitive food sales, policy 8531, free and reduced meals, policy 9151, the use of cameras and other recording devices in the locker rooms. So this is the second reading.
Second reading, so this was an oversight on my part. First reading was October 20. These policies, I did not roll them over to November, so here we are in February. I recommend the board go second reading on this most technical piece, but if the board prefers another month for first reading, I'm absolutely amenable to that. 8420, we do each and every year, actually it's a new policy to turn into THS data into reportable for criminal statistics. I work with the high school on that one, and the food service pieces there, Jesse Bender had looked at those and approved those. They are part of our practice already. They include items that define what we need to do in case an IEP has not been presented yet, but there is a food-related allergy, so we absolutely create those pathways to ensure that students have the food that they need based on allergies up until when the IEP comes through. The last one, 9151, language does not allow media in locker rooms. There's no cameras at all in locker rooms or bathrooms, and so we have those signs posted there as well. So recommend approval of these policies as presented.
I had a question, 9151. Just a concern, okay, no video. So we have phones. How do you police that?
Yeah. It says no cell, no.
Oh, I know what it says.
Yeah.
I know what it says.
Well,
But
that's what it says, so
I know.
we don't station people inside.
No, I understand
They
that.
do sweeps and things.
I know there's another policy coming up that we'll have to discuss with 5130. But my concern is, we're saying no videoing, and yet a student has a phone.
So what if they go against the rules?
Well, I know it's against the rules.
It's
How do
actually
you do it?
been in state statute for, I don't know, back when I was in middle school.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
So in all the bathrooms, I know there's signs that are posted
Oh, yeah.
about here's your can, and if kids do when it comes out, it's consequence.
Oh, no, because we already have a no phone policy.
Right.
We haven't done very well with that. So my point is, when you have that, I don't know what the protocol is, because the students, and I don't want to get ahead of it on 5130, but as long as it's not in a learning area, the student can have a phone, correct?
That is practice. High
No, I
school.
mean, that's what it's, yeah, right.
They can have it in between classes.
Right.
And that one.
But it's against state statute for them to have them out in a bathroom or a locker room.
Oh, I understand that.
We've got all
I understand.
So
that.
is
I
your
read that-
question
read that
like,
entire-
what happens if they're caught doing it? Is
Well,
that
there-
like, what's the consequence, or like, how is it prevented, or like, what's?
Yeah, that's my concern. You're not gonna prevent that. I know what it says in the crime, because that would fall in that category. But then that would move into another area. I'm just bringing that up for that 5136 that's coming up, because I don't know how you prevent it.
So we're on the other end of the second reading on the fourth, and then motion.
And all of us, go ahead. You can go forward with it.
Actually-
No answer.
I have actually a question too on that same policy, the 8420. The draft references a notification chain between administrators, and like, have we finalized a chain for that? So if you do have an incident that's at the middle school, do you have a process of, Ms. King or Ms. Langer contacts you in the full chain of authority?
So 8420, what part of that?
Where it basically says that there's a draft reference of notification between administrators. And that's why I was just wondering, have we
Yes.
clearly finalized a draft, with your administrators of how to contact?
So school safety and reporting of crime statistics, it's primarily for the high school, but we have all the streets.
Okay. And then my second question is, what is the process where we verify and document when a where a charge or a citation has actually been issued for purposes of inclusion of that 31st report? So like, say, it did happen how do I put it? Say it happened like in June, you get a citation or a charge from something that happened back in February, right? An investigation has gone through. Do we have like a formal log that we would be able to go back into, and you're able to go, okay, yeah, that's from February, and this would now be included on that July
We take
31st
with our
report?
disciplinary statistics, what we do, since we can't charge, these are not charges, these actually have to go through the court system. So
Right.
we can work with Tomah PD, we have absolutely no wonderful relationship with them. But a lot of these may need to go through the DA as well. So all school districts in the state of Wisconsin, we absolutely undertake the best good faith, best effort to find those, but there are occasions when some of those vindicated pieces that we don't get because of the age of the child, the type of crime, etc. So
Right.
I would report those that we know about. So we have a tight relationship there as close as we can.
Right, I saw it kind of has ambiguous language on that of
Yeah.
when you're informed versus, right? Okay.
So do you have a certain tracking method that you use?
We don't have a tracking method for adjudication. What we do know is that we have those incidents that may require a police report, but then this now extends to whether let's say
So you have something on your radar.
We can work with our law enforcement partners if they are that information can be out there. But we had a really positive experience this past summer on that first run.
Okay. Sounds good. That was the second reading.
Questions?
So, do I have a motion in regards to the second reading of those?
I'll make a motion that we accept those.
Okay, motion by Sue, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Teresa, excuse me, second by Teresa. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, good on those. All right, next we'll move into the first reading. So this is the first reading and no action tonight in regards to the school support organization, our SSO policy 5830, student fundraising revised. Policy 6605, crowdfunding revised, 6608, accountability and oversight of fundraiser and crowdfunding disbursements, new. Policy 6610, non-district supported student activity accounts revised. Policy 7230, gifts, grants, and bequests revised. Policy 9211, district support organizations is rescinded. Policy 9215, district support organizations, school support organizations, the SSO, is renumbered, replacement. 9700, relations with non-school affiliated groups revised. That's it for the first group.
Yes, thank you so much. So I broke these out just to separate the first readings into those that were really fiscally oriented. We are so honored to have so many of those school support organizations work in our district. So what you see in these policies and their first reading are recommendations from Neola, just in terms of how some of those internal controls are handled with fundraising, gifts, grants, or requests, just about everything under the sun with our programs, our school support agencies and organizations that assist us. So we have strong internal controls within the school district, and these certainly are just opportunities for us to adequately manage fundraising, cash exchanges, etc. in different groups. So I do forward to our board community as well if they saw any of that stood out. But for us that evening, Michelle sat through those with me and the Neola rep, found some positive ground with those, Michelle did, and then I didn't hear any walk through them at a board committee meeting and felt that they were in line with their practices. So we will control out the money. Here's what's actually a school organization versus what's a student support organization, so they're still separated entities.
Questions on this first set?
I had 9215. I know we have a lot of organizations we support. I would submit that maybe we should get a report. How are they doing? I know we indicated that several years ago to see if it was functioning properly, or were there any issues or any barriers or anything we as a board, just so that we know what is going on. That'd be appropriate to have some of those groups come and.
So no, nothing in regards to the policy you're just asking.
Well, that's right, because it does say that there's a report, we're funding it.
Do you mean like
Trap.
What's that?
like rodeo? Or
Well, no, we had several organizations that we cited 2 years. Black Student Union was one 2 years ago or thereabouts. We were gonna revisit that and say, how are things going? What's participation?
That's a different topic, but I can.
Well,
Yeah, that's not a, I don't think that's a school support. School support organization is
They're
like,
not school support.
How are they
they're a
funded?
club,
They're
they're a club.
Okay,
This
we
is-
don't fund it?
This is like, the youth wrestling program,
Okay, outside of that.
outside of, they kind of work with the school, but they're not really part of us. You know what I mean?
Alright, so the
um,
difference is
the
that they are
rodeo-
part of the school.
I see where you're going with
Right,
that, but
just
that's
wanna-
something that.
feedback.
We need to know to the high school.
Okay, no, that's good. That's good, thank you.
But yeah, but that's, the-
Clarification.
yeah.
Thank you.
More than.
No, I'm good with that one.
Just a
Well,
point
I
of clarification, like for our next reading for the second policy, we need to approve the definitions first before we can approve any of the school support organization policies. So just a reminder of like, put it
Yeah.
right first, so.
I'll roll them all together on the next one, but I just, first for discussion, but yes, 100 has SSO definition. in it,
Right.
But there's also definition one.
Still gonna find this for a sec, yeah.
Yeah, 9,700, I just want to say thank you. I see we struck out all that and we did non-discrimination, total, instead of, race, color, religion, because it does, it's an umbrella, so I thank you for that.
That was you.
Yeah.
That's what you said.
Okay,
Still-
that's all I have. Until the next one.
Pretty good on that set? Okay, any other questions on that one? Eventually you, reach out to Dr. Hanson again in between now and the next one. Those will come back to us as the second reading in the future. Okay, so now we get another set. All right, so now with the first reading and no action on policy 0100 definitions revised, policy 0144.5 board member behavior, communications and code of conduct revised, policy 1210 board district administrator relationship revised, policy 1240 evaluation of the district administrator revised, policy 2131.01 reading instructional goals and kindergarten assessment revised, policy 226101 parent and family engagement in Title I programs revised, policy 2431 interscholastic activities revised, policy 3120.08 employment of personnel for co-curricular extracurricular activities revised, policy 5112 entrance age revised, policy 5136 personal communication devices revised, policy 5461 children at risks of not graduating from high school new, policy 5895 student employment rescind, policy 6320 purchasing revised, policy 7540.202 digital content and accessibility revised, policy 7540.048 artificial intelligence revised.
I would absolutely defer to the board if there are those that come through. Again, I want to thank the board policy committee for sitting through those first meetings, but are we just going to start? Mr. Chairman?
Sure. It sounds like we might have some questions on some of these. I don't know where we want to start.
You guys can go ahead and I'll just take
No, go
over
ahead.
whatever you guys don't say.
Spencer, why don't you go ahead and start?
Okay, mine, they're kind of basic, I think a 144.5.
Yeah.
I just have on G, expectation applies in all communications, but then we go on farther to say, including while discussing sensitive, controversial matters. All communications should be inclusive, right? Just throwing that as a point.
On that policy, I would.
G, 144.5G, because regardless, it's all communications. I was just throwing it out there. I'm a kind of stickler. Sometimes you make that, it says all, but then we always take it deeper. And I don't know that it's necessary, but that's just a concern I have. I don't know. Everyone else may not have an issue. That's one. And obviously it's the first reading, so
redundancy.
Mr. Stevens, so you're saying on item under general expectations of all board members, item G, there's treat others with respect and dignity at all times. Is there a word you'd like to move?
I'm just saying, expectation applies in all communications, and then we go on to other.
The end of it. He's basically just saying, just end it,
Just
communication.
end it.
There's no reason for the including, blah, 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 blah.
It's
That's all he's saying.
That's all I'm
redundant,
saying.
is what he's saying.
That's all.
The rest of the, from the comma on is redundant.
So he just thinks the point is all communications means all communications.
Covers
So
everything, so
that's just the
that was the, yeah, that was just.
So do you want it removed or not?
Pardon me? I just
Do you
all
want
communications.
including while
period.
discussing sensitive, so on and so forth? You want all that removed?
Where the sentence ends at all communications.
What else you got?
I guess, I don't know if I want to get into that one just yet.
Can we continue with that policy?
Go ahead.
Same
yes.
one.
Okay, you.
On page 3 of 4, go down, it's really weird. It says, okay, prior to paragraph 1, 2, 3. Prior to paragraph 3, it says the president and vice president do such and such. If the president is the problem, then the vice president will take over. Then, when you get to the 3rd paragraph, the president, and it's scratched out, or the vice president shall review the complaint and determine whether the officer can investigate the matter. It should just keep the vice president in there, because if the president is the problem, then the vice president needs to carry on the president's duties to take care of whatever complaint against the other board member is. And so then it should, I'm saying leave all of that language in, and then the president may, or the president or vice president may contact the school district's legal counsel, depending on who's doing the investigation.
Okay, can I just say, I'm just gonna lay it out there.
Okay.
I don't know why this policy keeps coming back,
I don't
and
either.
why we're so focused on changing this policy. This policy was brought to us in November and it died. There was no revisions made. Heidi brought up due process, 100%, there's no due process. This policy, as we're trying to revise it, gives Mr. Genevico all of the power. Not saying that he's gonna be like, I have all the power, but it gives the board president all of the power. So if someone's like, hey, Miss Rice said such and such and such, and I went to Miss Rice and I told her about, a concern I had, then someone else could be like, oh, Miss Rice did that, and then the school board president could say, okay, well now, according to this policy and how it's now written, hold on, give me a second. Where was that part? So now they can say, because of no due process and whatever, they can now say, oh, well, Ms. Rice can now have formal censure by resolution passed by a majority of the board, removal from board committee assignments, restriction on board member rights granted by policy, referral to proceed with efforts to remove the board member from office for cause, referral to law enforcement, other efforts to pursue compliance with adherence, and then, my favorite, the added portion. If a complainant or any other person contacts an individual board member other than the board president to discuss complaint or investigation under this policy, the board member shall inform the person that the board member has no authority to act in an individual capacity and shall refer the person to this bylaw for the board president for further assistance. Now, the document that was sent to us about why this keeps coming back to us, even though, by the way, I should just point this out. The February 9th Board Policy Committee meeting, the committee recommends keeping current language referencing vice president. But it's still coming to us with all of that striked out. Now, the document that we received says that this policy outlines expected ethical, professional, and responsible conduct for all board members, covering their behavior, communications, and their interactions with staff. It is important because it establishes the standards of integrity and professionalism necessary for effective government, protects the district's legal standing, and ensures a focus on the welfare of students. The revisions to the policy update include communicating that individual board members, other than the board president, do not have the authority to act on complaints or investigation. It is important because it establishes a clear chain of command and ensures that all complaints are handled through the proper channels, maintaining consistency and fairness in the process. The revisions are recommended but not required. So my question is, why does this policy just keep trying to get pushed through? Just keep trying to get revised?
Excellent question. These are recommendations from the OLA, so it'd be incumbent that they do come before the board, first the policy committee, then the board for your consideration, so they need to.
Well, then, reflecting back, I know this, I was part of the policy committee. Now, reflecting back even further, looking at this again after Ms. Rice's comments, it's like, well, what if the vice president and the president are the problem? Then what do we do? So, you know, it's a very frustrating thing. I don't think we should change any of it
I don't either.
at this point and let it die.
I rewatched the meeting that we had where this first came up, and Heidi's point of due process
It's still not
absolutely
there.
applicable here.
So the board never took those. These are new revisions.
We know that.
So these
Yeah,
are-
so-
So it just keeps coming back. Like, we're just bound and determined
I
to
thought, yeah.
get something in there.
Well, I would say it'd be incumbent in my role as a superintendent of schools to always bring policy changes.
Right.
So you will get those from me. I understand and certainly understand your concern.
I personally think we should just let this one die.
Well, it's no action.
No action tonight, right, 100%. So.
So we just need to remember it.
I just want to add
Yeah, go ahead.
the same thing. Disappointed to see this policy come forward again. I hope that the board over this next month will take a look at this very carefully. Katie's absolutely right. I do think that this opens us up to
All sorts of problems.
legal ramifications. So, that's it.
Okay, when you say you let it die, what do you mean by that?
Just,
Or
don't change.
Just leave it as printed.
Do not change any of the pink or the green.
Potentially, that would be the.
Like, this is right where
We're just gonna make a motion.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure,
Yeah.
what you were talking about. Okay.
Other ones? Good. I don't care.
I'll let you
Go
go.
ahead.
I do have another one,
No, you go
but
ahead. Go ahead.
should I just
Go
finish
ahead,
speaking
go
my
ahead.
piece
You're
and then
alone.
you can have it?
Go ahead.
All right. The next one, again, come back to the smartwatches.
Which
Say-
Which one?
Definition.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, at the very beginning.
So this comes back to, and I know what's gonna be said is the Wisconsin Act 42. So I went and I found it and I printed it. It says that the devices are not to be used during school, but in the devices, it says a wireless communication device means a portable wireless device that has the capability to provide voice messaging or other data communication between two or more parties and includes all of the following: a cellular telephone, a tablet computer, a laptop computer, a gaming device. So my question would be, yes, a smartwatch technically can. You cannot talk on the phone. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm just old, but there's no way I can be texting on this thing. If I'm texting like this, you're gonna figure it out real quick. Act 42 prohibits the use of the devices in school, but it does not prohibit wearing the devices. The policies are not clear enough to state that to where I can see there being some, I'm trying to think the word I'm looking for. I want to say it's not animosity, but like some conflict about what it would be. So I can see like a teacher being like, hey, the policy is you can't have that on. A student saying, but I'm not using it. So it's not clear enough because according to Act 42, they can have it on them, they just cannot use it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does anyone,
think you're making
did
a point.
anyone
I think
find anything in the policy that I'm missing?
No, I had brought something, up in this, in policy committee about, and it was specific and I can't find the policy that is in here right now. I left my notes at home. But about leaving out this, the smart, your, whatever that device is,
It's right here.
the smart watches.
In the policy committee meeting on November 10th, it says policy 0100 definitions, committee recommends not adding smart watches.
Yeah.
But that was before 42 came out. It defined what a personal communication device is. So that kind of changes it a little bit. But this does not specifically state smart watches. And my personal belief is, and I have no evidence to support this, but my belief is because that's a really hard thing to enforce, someone to take off their watch. They don't have to use it, but just having the watch on their arm, right? So I would say either take out smartwatches or add some clarification as to.
I would go further and take out smartwatches and wearable technology because they're kind of one and the same to me. I don't know what else wearable technology is.
I don't know, like I said, I'm old. All I know is my watch is my life.
You're one ahead of me.
I live by my watch, so.
Isn't that somewhat, okay, so you can't text on it, but you can still receive
You can.
messages.
You can
And
text
so
on it, but have you seen
Yeah,
the
but see,
keyboard?
You can actually picture the easy.
Well,
But
talk
you-
on it.
part of it then, like,
I mean, it might not
I
be,
can
I
really
might not
text
be,
on the
I might not be
phone.
like writing, I might not be writing paragraphs,
I,
but I can definitely say, see you after senior night.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
or, I mean, there's
100%.
options, you know, I get a message. I
But doing this is a lot easier to see than being like this, right? Like,
but some of the point of limiting that phone use is not using it, but the incoming stuff, the incoming messages that you're going to get, the distraction on it. And this is going to be just as much of a distraction with incoming as a phone, isn't it?
so that's why I'm saying, like, if we don't take out smartwatches, can we make the policy clearer that you can have the watch on, but you need to turn off like the cellular data or something? Some kids use it to move.
Why can't you just take it off?
You're gonna have
That's the problem.
whole ordeal with that, let me tell you what.
I use it to
If
monitor
who's
my
not
heart.
using, they shouldn't
Yeah,
have.
my son.
Mine likes to tell me that I'm
Some of
about
our
ready to have a heart
monitor
attack.
their heart, their diabetes,
But we
Yeah,
can
all
we can
that,
hammer
yeah.
that all day because, you know, just like the legislation from the state, it had so many holes and it's like trying to carry water in a net.
Right,
Because there are too many exceptions and it makes it extremely difficult for the teachers. How do the teachers, we call on the teachers to enforce it. It says, okay, you can have a phone, but it must be turned off. It can't be on vibrate. How do you enforce that? How do we expect our teachers, they already have problems, and I'm sure everyone's heard. We want to give the students the best opportunity to learn, and if there's a distraction, you know, then that impedes their ability to learn, you know? And I just think that I'd like to see us give the kids a chance, and I'm straight down the line and say, no phones. I mean, we can look through Mentor or other places.
Make sure we're staying, we
I
don't want, we don't want,
That's just
Right.
5136.
we don't want to get into a discussion about phones and not having phones right now. 'Cause it's-
Well, that's what's 5136.
but it's still, cause it's the youth
Well,
of it,
that's-
so that's
That's
whether we decide, I think you're gonna have a mutiny on your hands if you try to do the smartwatches thing. They already have a hard time with you taking away their phones. But
so.
I do think that there does need to be some more clarification in that policy, regardless of whether we decide to leave smartwatches in or out. just because it's not clear.
How would you make it, how would you suggest we make it clearer?
Well, I didn't get that far because I thought that that would be a great collaborative effort.
Communication device.
Because
I think then we need to bring this definitions solely for us to be able to discuss, to make it clear, and then go from there.
Like I said, we have to pass definitions before we can pass any of the other policies.
Communication device.
Okay, other,
I'm done. Everyone else
You're
can
done.
talk about what they want to talk about. That's all I have.
okay,
Let's see.
Eddie, you said yeah?
I'm good.
No.
Good.
I just had one more, 6/2/30. I wrote it down.
63.
Well, maybe I wrote, yeah, maybe it was a 6/30. Yeah, it's purchase.
Purchase was 63.
Which one?
I'm sorry.
6320.
Yeah.
Near the bottom. Somewhere near the bottom. Third.
Yeah, that's it. I
Purchase.
And I know we have that in there in C, purchasing decisions. And I know we get into that because I know in facilities, we talk about it. But we're adding in C, except in case of a single vendor, emergency, or when the material purchases are of such nature that price negotiations will not result in savings to the district. I'm okay with that. Not, exceeding or spending more money than we need to, but I think that we need to be a little bit sensitive and careful because we get a very good vendor, very reputable, the results are great, but I don't think it's fair that we not give others opportunity. Now, if they choose not to submit a quote or bid, then it becomes one instead of just one. I just have a little concern because we don't know who might come in and do a good job too, and especially in a small community. So I'm just saying, I don't know that part of it is, because we're gonna go on for comparative, and if we don't have comparative, then we have a single.
It's rare, and Joe, you do a fantastic job.
Yes.
Thresholds that
Yes.
require a full-blown bid process, and then when they do, you see some of the outcomes there. So it's very judiciously used, very sensitively used, because we absolutely do want the best price of the plan.
Right.
But the HVAC piece goes out in the middle of February. This
That's emergency.
may have to do, so thank you for recognizing that. Well intentioned and it's followed, that's been our practice in my 6 years.
It's, like I said, emergency, fine. The other is where I had my little concern, but, so that would work for me.
Well, on that
Just-
same policy of purchasing of over 50,000, or I think it was
That's all.
50,000.
Yeah.
Threshold, I had asked in the policy meeting why there wasn't 3 quotes versus 2, and I was told, well, look where you are. People just don't wanna, bid on these things. So I think 3 is a better number than having 2, so
We can't get too.
But,
Just say at
right,
least.
with that being said, if we got 3 bids,
Right.
we bring that to the
Right.
facility, we bring that to you, if we get 3.
Okay.
So if we get 2, we bring you to, one, we bring you 1. So it's not that we don't try to get 3. We just, if you don't see 3, it's because they didn't get them. We present all the bids that we get.
Sure.
Okay, 5136, this is the other one. Yes, granted, I know that if you don't get the definitions done, then this one's kind of a moot point. I did have issue with, go to the letters, go down to A, B, C, D. Smartwatch, wearable technology, any other web-enabled device of any type. I mean, kind of that whole statement says that all for A through I. So I don't know why that's needed, but wearable technology and smartwatch need to be taken off of there.
So A through D, I checked in Neola on 5136, that statute, that was A through D. They follow the definition of wireless devices, and including E and I are just those that can be. Most districts are taking all of them, but there are some. It's just two requirements.
So A through D are required by law.
So there's some that are not, that are outside the statute. So boards have the, right now, can be as restrictive.
So E, I'm gonna clarify, E through I is subjective.
I checked in, yeah, there's some that are required by statute and others, these are those devices that absolutely can communicate and can potentially disrupt instruction. So the board just has to take those that are required under statute. And
A through D.
this policy is not technically due till July 1, but it's, they could just come out. I'd like to bring them to you as soon as I possibly can. So certainly there's some time if there's grander conversations, but nothing prohibits boards from, like our practices don't change at all right now. We're doing everything just fine. We added the required language, much of the green that's here, but also the board can make determinations if it should be more restrictive in nature as well. But I would agree too that those can be grander conversations and talk about some of those other things. But in the first reading, you're definitely on the line for what's required.
But that paragraph right underneath all that green, it says those students may possess the PCDs in school or school property during activities, extracurricular activities, and school-related functions. They must be powered completely off. Not just placed in vibrate or silent mode and stored out of sight during the school hours and during activities and extracurricular activities. It's said there.
It is. Let's
Powered off and done.
Can we just, when it goes to second read, get rid of what's not required ingrained in law according to this? And
We're not
just
doing any
keep,
motions tonight, so that'll have to be in the future time.
okay,
So we'll have to make that much.
we'll have to do that.
Right.
Okay.
We're just talking about it tonight, and then that would have to be in the form of the discussion at the second reading.
You can have that. It's just that's the Act 42 law that I just printed off.
The
Okay.
law that we're talking about.
All right, a lot of info there, a lot of good things, a lot of things to think about. So we'll hear about that going soon.
I think that was my only.
All right. Sounds good. Next, kind of last thing in the open here is the upcoming events for the board members. So we got quite a few things coming up. What was the one? What was the one? We're all good with the time, yeah. Everybody good with the times of some of these? I know some of those when we talked about
Take a
this.
look at that. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Thanks for bringing that up. Everybody take a look. Those are coming from WASB.
So the big ones were like Tuesday, March 3rd, first round of interviews. On our notes and with Sherry and stuff, it said 4 o'clock. So everybody's still good with that.
Yeah.
And 4 o'clock on both Tuesday and Thursday, make sure he goes in.
Was there a question on the time on the 25th?
Probably the superintendent.
Yeah, that was only looking at the applications. The
Yes,
7
yes,
o'clock, was
yes.
that correct?
That was the one. So that was I had written down 7 with a question mark.
Yes, okay,
So-
that was what we
so-
weren't sure.
Is everybody good with leaving that at 7? So that's
That's
next Wednesday. That's next Wednesday.
Earlier.
That's next Wednesday. So the applications are due Friday. We're gonna have access to them from,
Yeah, that's
what
right.
is it, Friday night
But
through
I
Tuesday
worked
through
till
Wednesday?
6 that night.
I'm sorry.
So we decided on 7 because I worked till 7
Okay.
on that night, but I'm actually done at 6 that night. So if it works better for everyone to do it earlier, I can be to the district office.
So I mean, so we could move it a half hour if you wanted, or people
I'll
want to
change
mess
it
with
back.
that, 6:30, or do you want to leave it at 7?
Doesn't matter. I mean, that was when I know that we plugged
You're
in time.
you're
we weren't sure.
right, you're right. And that's what Dr. Nixon called me about today.
Wednesday? Yeah,
Next
25th.
Wednesday,
Okay.
yes. Yeah.
At 6?
So the applications close this Friday.
Right,
So then we'll have access to those up until that meeting.
right.
I mean, we'll have them longer, but that's that meeting where we'll be
You
bringing.
said you get done at 6?
Right.
What's, we could.
So you want to go 6:30?
6:30.
Give us another half hour earlier.
Are you?
I can be
closer?
there, but or you guys can start at 6 and I'll be there. It's up to you, whatever you guys want to do.
Just be ready to roll at
Just tell me
6:30.
what time I need to get.
Just be ready to roll at 6:30.
I want to be on time.
So be ready to roll at 6:30 instead of 7. Okay. So make a note of that.
Okay.
So
6:30.
fix that. Yep. Yep.
6:30.
So-
District off.
We should get a reminder, right?
And what are we blocking out for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3, what?
4.
Oh my God.
It's gonna be a bit. It's gonna be a little bit.
Yeah.
It will be a little bit. Because that's what we're talking about narrowing down. That's what we're gonna be narrowing down the test of the candidates.
4 hours.
Come on, that's
There's 5 officially in, 2 that are halfway done.
5 in?
Hopes 5 are in.
Cool.
2 that are in the works, but not finished, and hoping to double that. So
As far as application.
5 are in. 1 out of state.
Okay, fine.
So, everybody good? So 6:30, everything else is on there, everybody's got it? But 6:30 next Wednesday is that time. Okay,
I should probably change
at the
that.
district office, all right? Everybody good with that?
After I just made a big deal about being on time.
Okay, welcome to that. So now we're gonna look at contemplated closed session pursuant to the Wisconsin statute, section 19.851C, to discuss and potentially take action regarding the compensation of a teacher. And then we will reconvene in open session and take action as appropriate. So do I have a motion to go closed?
Second,
Motion by Heidi, second by Teresa. We will take roll call for closed.
Penny,
Yes.
Lisa,
yes.